Is the Hampton Roads real estate market going to crash in 2023? That's what we're going to go over exactly in this video, so stay tuned. Before we go over the Hampton Roads real estate market, if you could do me a favor and let me know what your thoughts are on the setup that we've got going. I'm changing things up a little bit. As you can tell, I upgraded. We got a smart board behind me. I got some new lighting as well, some new audio as well. So if everything is good, please consider hitting that like button and please consider subscribing, and as well, most importantly, comment down below on what you think about this format. All right, I put a lot of money into this, trying to provide you guys valuable information, so hopefully it's going to work out well. Now let's dive into it. So one of most consumers' concerns when it comes to buying or selling is really, one, are they selling at the right time? And two, are they buying at the right time, right? So most people, when they're selling their property, they want to make sure they're maximizing on the profit as much as possible. And the same thing for buyers, they want to make sure that they're not overpaying as much as possible. But that's one of the tricky things about real estate, because there's pros and cons of all sorts of markets, right? And what we've seen recently within the last year or so, when the media started going on and on and on about how the real estate market is crashing, what we started seeing was the interest rates were going up. But one of the problems that they're not talking about is really the inventory level. With the interest rates going up, the inventory level is still quite low, especially here in Hampton Roads. It may be different in other states that we've talked about, but our inventory level is very low in Hampton Roads still. One of the things that we're going to cover today is going over the specific data that goes to show that our market is still going strong, especially for sellers. But for buyers that are out there that are scared about overpaying for a property, you'll come to see the appreciation is a lot, and it's really hard to be really underwater if you do it properly. Hopefully you guys can see this well. I'll zoom in a little bit, see if that helps at all. All right, so this is the data provided directly from our local MLS, and as you can see right here, our closings and pending sales are still rising, even with the interest rates going up, because as I mentioned to you before, it has a lot to do with the inventory level as well. If our inventory level was a little higher, then we might see a different result, similar to what we've seen in other states where the inventory level rose up, and the same thing with the rates, and then the sales prices started going down, right? But even nationwide, we still haven't gotten our sales prices below prior to 2020. So I still don't see this market crash that all the people are reporting that are the bears, right? Market's crashing, still not seeing it. And real estate, there's a lot of factors that comes into play with real estate market, just not just the mortgage rates. Right? There's a lot of variables because people make moves depending on their needs and goals, right? Not just how the market is going. Even myself, we made a move back in November while the rates were still high, just because that's the lifestyle that was changing for us. All right. So as it mentions over here, the president of the board of directors, John McAaron, he also talks about as well. Having a good selection of homes for buyers to choose for is also extremely important, right? And for most consumers, buying makes more sense than renting still, because especially if you're a renter, you've seen the rent prices have increased as well, along with the sales prices, right? And in most cases, you will be saving money on a mortgage versus the rent, but on top of it, you're building equity over time, right? So as the market keeps growing, you're building that equity. So just keep that in mind, because there's such a limited supply of homes. And right here, and one thing to keep in mind too, y'all, is yes, the mortgage rates are higher than what it was 3 years ago, but people got spoiled with the 2-3%, and with the 2-3% came with a lot of competition, right? You're overbidding for these properties just to get into a house essentially, and the rates really what caused all of that, right? So think of this, think of the fives as a way of you buying into a property without going crazy and bidding with 17 plus other people. And even right now, we're starting to see that starting to come back because a lot of people are realizing that this is probably going to be staying the same for a little while. So in the month of February, what we're seeing right here, active residential listings totaled 3,130. That's down by 136 listings or 4.16% month over month. But however, it is up 25% from last year, right? So that should give you a really good idea of the inventory problem that we've got. And the up 25% equals to about 629 plus listings year over year in comparison to 2022. And then the pending sales stood at 2,058. And that's up 5.92% month over month, but down, as you can see right here, 19.9% year over year. There's a lot of things that could go play into that, right? As I mentioned to you before, a lot of people are concerned about them buying with higher interest rates at the moment. But a lot of people are starting to also come to realization that the rates are probably going to stay like this for quite some time. So they're not letting their lifestyle changes get held up anymore by how the market is going, right? And settled sales during the month, were 1,684 for February, and that's up 12.1% month over month, and then down 22.65% year over year. All right, so we've seen sales go down as well. So 22% in less sales year over year, right? That is a good sign right there that the rates are or were essentially affecting the market, right? And a lot of concerns. But if you look at something which is quite interesting, this is what I keep telling the buyers, even sellers, is the median sales price of homes sold in the region was $313,650. That's in February, right? And that's up 3.5% from January. In January, we were at 303,000, right? And we're also up 7.9% from 290,500 of 2022 February, right? So even though the rates have went up, we're seeing less sales and settled sales go down, prices are going up. And this is where I'm saying there is no crash here in Hampton Roads. The data is right there in front of you. Prices are still going up. We went up 3.5% median sales price. That is a lot, and it's going to continue increasing as we go into the spring and summer season. And the MSI is the monthly supply of inventory. This determines how much inventory we've got left in the event that no one was to list their home for sale for the rest of the year or whatever, right? The MSI is 1.24%, so that means you got a month and a quarter, a month and 1 week essentially of inventory, right? If no one else was to list for February, and that's down 1.27% from the month prior, but year over year is above the record low that we saw in 2022 of 0.78, which was recorded in February 2022. So the inventory, right, has definitely went up. And I remember before 2019, that was actually in multiple months. We had 2+ months, 3 months, 4 months of inventory, right? So we've got a long way to go before it actually gets back to normal of how it was. So prior to pre-pandemic levels. And the median days on market for residential listings, only 20 days. That's still super low, right? That's a month over month decrease of 7 days. So in January, we had 27 days, and normally around that time frame, you'll see days on market go up because of the holiday season, all right? But the median days on market increased each month since March 2022 before dipping in February, right? So this is just a sign that we're going back, somewhat getting closer to a healthy market where it's a balanced market. Right now, it's still predominantly a seller's market, but depending on where you are searching, you may be able to get a good deal as a buyer if you have an agent representing you that knows where the pockets are of these good deals where you might be able to get something, all right? It all depends on where you're looking throughout Hampton Roads. And residential new construction sold in the MLS for February was 228 compared to 244 in February of last year. All right, I do think the numbers on that will continue changing as well. just simply due to the fact supply chain issues are starting to get sorted out. And as well, builders at a certain point overpaid for materials, right? So we're starting, I think it'll start getting better on that new build aspect as well. All right, but that's the data right there from our REIN MLS for February of 2023. Brought to you by the digital realty team of LPT Realty. If you are a buyer or seller thinking about making a move within the next year or even further out, reach out, let's chat, see if it makes any sense at all for us to possibly consider working, but most importantly, just seeing if it makes any sense at all for you to even consider selling or buying. All right, that's what it's all about here at the team. We want to make sure you're making the right move. So reach out at the information down below. Other than that, hope you have a great rest of the week and the rest of the month.